Welcome, Is denome. In this video I want to talk about wrapped Bitcoin because there might be some issue here that I want to share with you, because I just saw one big player exit the wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem, and I also saw some red flags and yellow flags with this ecosystem. And then I started to think, do I even want to make a video about this? Because I don't want to spread more fear and uncertainty and doubt in the marketplace, because there's already a lot of it going on in the Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem. But then I thought, because this one big player just exited the market, other big players will see that and they will start to also ask these same questions that I started to ask. So then I thought, better I just make this video and ask all the questions. I don't have answers to all of these, but I have some speculation. And then at least you as a retail investor have the opportunity to take a look at this information first before the big whales, big investors, big players, whales start to look at it, and they have the first mover advantage basically, if this information happens to have any merit that I'm gonna show. But anyway, don't take this information too seriously, because this is just some questions that I have. Some of these probably even have an answer, because I'm just one guy, right? I don't have tens of professional researchers researching this for me, but this is some of, or these ideas that I have for this video are some big issues in my opinion that made me also exit the wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem. Anyway, let's first talk about what is wrapped Bitcoin, and then I will start showing the things that made me a little bit worried about it also. And then I will show the big player who just exited wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem as well. And then finally we will talk about other alternatives as well to wrapped Bitcoin. Anyway, wrapped Bitcoin, what is it? It is a Ethereum 20 version of Bitcoin basically. So it is backed one-to-one with Bitcoin. It is supposedly completely transparent, 100% verifiable, and community led. So if we go to their page here, and by the way, why would you use wrapped Bitcoin? If you have Bitcoin, you can basically only send it to someone else and do nothing else with it. But with wrapped Bitcoin, you can transfer that over to Ethereum blockchain, and you can use it for lending, for yield farming, for providing liquidity, for all kinds of things on the DeFi ecosystem. But Bitcoin network doesn't have any DeFi yet. So this is basically a bridge for your Bitcoin to transfer over to Ethereum. Anyway, that's it for what wrapped Bitcoin is. There's currently, if we take a look at their proof of assets, 267,500 wrapped Bitcoin on the ERC20 token contract. And in custody, there's currently 270,000 Bitcoin. So it is over collateralized according to this. And I do believe this is actually true here, but now I do have some problems with this. And the first basically big red flag that I saw is here. The custodian performs audits on a regular basis to show transparency through publicly viewable and verifiable transactions. So the custodian performs audits on itself. So this is the red flag in my opinion, because if you have a company, for example, and let's say they've done something bad and they are responsible for auditing themselves, do you think they will let the customers know about the fraud? Or will they keep the fraud to themselves? I think everybody knows the answer to that. And now we just basically have to trust the custodian hasn't done anything funny business or nothing like that. We just have to trust it and trust their audits. That's basically the issue here. So if we go to their partners page, because the whole wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem is basically reliant on the merchants and the custodian to perform and have trust. And if they don't have trust, then wrapped Bitcoin doesn't have trust. So let's take a look at the partners here. So if we take a look at the partners, you can see merchants, DAO members, and exchange. And if we go lower here, you can see some familiar names like Uniswap, it's an exchange. And then you have merchants, different merchants. So if we take a look at BitGo, BitGo is the only custodian. So all the wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain, or the wrapped Bitcoin everywhere, it is custodied by BitGo. So this is the only custodian. So now if you might have the same question that I had, which is that, okay, decentralized finance is supposed to be decentralized, but then all the wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum goes through one entity. So how decentralized is this really? And the answer is it is not. So let's take a look at what is BitGo. So BitGo is a company that handles portfolio management, asset management for their customers. So if we go lower here, you can see that they do prime trading, prime lending, this is important. They do settlement, portfolio management, and tax services for their customers. So it's like an asset management company, and this wrapped Bitcoin is just part of it. And they have these customer portfolios. And if you go lower here, you can see that they have all kinds of crypto companies here. And all of these companies are somehow connected to each other through lending and through using the same protocols. And maybe they even have some of the same investors and same kind of capital. So if one of these big players goes down, they might have exposure to another, or another company might have exposure to that company. So if one goes into lockdown, another one might go into lockdown, and so on. So it could cascade in the worst situation. I will come back to that point a little bit later. But just know that this is a big player, very important player in the DeFi ecosystem, because more than 1% of all Bitcoin that will ever be minted is currently locked in this wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem. So next, let's take a look at some of the other players, because I don't know that much about BitGo. I did not go deep into what BitGo is. We just have to trust that they are doing it right. But they are also involved in lending, which we will come back to soon. Anyway, let's go to the next page. And now we start to see some very interesting names here. The first one is Alameda Research. I will come back to this one soon. And the other one is 3 Arrows Capital. So this is quite interesting. And this was a trusted, authorized, verified merchant. And what is 3 Arrows Capital? Now we have to go a little bit backwards, because the whole situation that crypto is currently in is basically because Celsius stopped withdrawals for their customers, and after that they hired restructuring lawyers who are specialized in bankruptcies, and customers currently cannot withdraw funds away from Celsius. And then after that news broke out, 3 Arrows Capital also became basically insolvent and stopped withdrawals for their customers. And there's now also a report that there has been liquidations for 3 Arrows Capital. And there's some big institutional accounts also that are currently in a lockdown with 3 Arrows Capital. So that's basically 2 companies that went down, and both of these have to do with lending, borrowing, rehypothecation. I don't know how to say it, but basically using assets multiple times for loaning reasons. And the reason why Celsius first went down is because of something called STETH. So STETH is basically staked Ethereum 2.0, which is another protocol. But anyway, they were involved in this basically semi-illiquid trade where they were able to stake Ethereum 2.0 and start earning rewards for staked ETH, but they had to lock it for this STETH protocol, and it will not become liquid until ETH 2.0 actually goes live. So Celsius had a big exposure to this STETH, and also Alameda Research was also doing the same thing, earning yield on Ethereum using this protocol. But then Alameda Research withdrew all of the STETH out of the pools, which left Celsius network basically insolvent on their Ethereum position that they had on STETH. And after that happened, there was this whole social media campaign, and Celsius wasn't able to fulfill all the withdrawals because of insolvency fears. So a lot of people started to withdraw money away from Celsius, and that's why Celsius ultimately stopped the withdrawals. So that was basically Alameda Research. And this is what Alameda Research has also done before. They front run the markets, and then big players look, what the hell has Alameda Research done, and why did they exit STETH? And then there's all these questions that start coming up. What happened? Why did they do this? and so on and so forth. So why am I talking about Alameda Research? Because if we go to wrapped Bitcoin, you can see that Alameda Research is a merchant here. And if we go to order book, guess whose name we find first here? So Alameda Research just today burned all their wrapped Bitcoin, and they took the Bitcoin and put it into Bitcoin chain. So Alameda Research just withdrew all of their Bitcoin. So if we take a look at this and we click this transaction here, sorry, not that one. We have to go, not here, sorry. We have to go to the partners page and see how much wrapped Bitcoin basically Alameda Research has left. So if we click Alameda Research here, and you click the custodian Bitcoin depository address, you can see that it currently has only 1 Bitcoin left. So Alameda Research has burned all of their wrapped Bitcoin except 1 wrapped Bitcoin. And they did this before anyone else. So my question now is, did they front run the markets again? Do they know something that is wrong with wrapped Bitcoin, or did they just do this because Ethereum 2.0 is coming soon, so there might be some risk involved with that transition, and they just want to take the Bitcoin out of the wrapped Ethereum, the Ethereum ecosystem, or do they know something about insolvencies? Because let me actually go back a little bit again. Anyway, this happened today, and the last burn that has happened, we have to go to the second page here, happened in May 6th. So I think the timing of this is quite interesting, as well as why the hell is it again Alameda Research who did this and not any other custodian or merchant. Why was it Alameda Research? So that's very interesting in my opinion, and I just want you to know this first, so you might use this information for your own safety reasons. Because in my opinion, why is this a problem, or why it could be a problem, is that if you have wrapped Bitcoin and there's a company here on this list, what if that company becomes insolvent? What if the insolvencies spread to other companies as well? What if, yes, all of the Bitcoin is verifiable on chain, but what if they have used that Bitcoin off-chain for loans? Or maybe they owe some of that Bitcoin, or maybe they have had losses, and the only way for them to cover their losses is if they use that Bitcoin and pay off debt off-chain. So the only way for you to get your Bitcoin back is through these merchants. So if there's, let's say, 100 Bitcoin and there's 100 merchants, and each merchant has 1 Bitcoin, and one of these merchants goes insolvent and they have this problem that I just mentioned, that means there's only 99 real Bitcoin out of 100 wrapped Bitcoin that is on the market. So if we play a game of musical chairs, and you know that there's, let's say, 20 kids playing and only 19 chairs left, and then the music stops, what happens? 19 people can get Bitcoin, but 1 person cannot. And that's why I think Alameda Research has exited this wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem, because they don't want to be the last kid. And I don't know if this has any merit to it, maybe not, but I think it's interesting. And this is the reason why I also took my wrapped Bitcoin out of, I no longer have any exposure to wrapped Bitcoin. I currently have Bitcoin and USDC, but not wrapped Bitcoin. And also, if we take a look at Vitalik Buterin, he has actually showed worry about these Bitcoin bridges. So let me read. I continue to be worried about the fact that these wrapped Bitcoin bridges are trusted. I hope that they can at least move to a decently sized multisig. So Vitalik Buterin in 2020 has raised this question, and that should we even trust this? Because there's only one custodian we have to trust, and then you also have to trust that all of these companies will, these merchants will honor their responsibility to transfer the wrapped Bitcoin back into Bitcoin. And that's a lot of trust. And that's not exactly decentralized in my opinion. So it could be that wrapped Bitcoin at some point is no longer trading one-to-one with Bitcoin. And if that happens, people will want to withdraw their wrapped Bitcoin and redeem it for real Bitcoin. And what if all the merchants cannot fulfill the redemptions? I think I've been redigesting this same point too many times over already. So anyway, that's the situation with wrapped Bitcoin and why I'm a little bit worried about it. And again, maybe it's completely fine. Maybe there's no issue there, but it's just something that, in my opinion, is quite important if there is an issue for me to tell you about some of the questions that I have. Anyway, that's it for that one. Now let's take a look at another protocol, which is called Binance Bitcoin. So according to Binance Bitcoin, they have basically half of the Bitcoin compared to wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem. So 125,000 Bitcoin, and we can verify this, that these are locked in this Bitcoin address here. So it is verified that they do have 125,000 Bitcoin, and they have made wrapped tokens of Bitcoin, and these 9,900 is on the Ethereum network. And if we take a look at this one, I think it was here, you can see this matches. If we take a look at the 7,352 Bitcoin that is on the Binance chain, this actually does not match. So there's 5,000 more Bitcoin on the Binance chain. But honestly, this might be just an issue how this is shown, because if we take a look at the Binance chain Bitcoin, you can see it's 105,000 Bitcoin here. And if we go to Binance scan, you can see that the minted supply is 112,000 Bitcoin, which is 7,000 more, but the circulating supply, which is the minted supply minus burned supply, this actually matches. So it could just be that this is the minted supply, but it doesn't show the burned supply. So if that's the case, they should change how this actually looks like, because right now it looks like there's more Binance Bitcoin on the Binance chain compared to Bitcoin in their custody, because these two numbers, 7,000 and 13,000, do not match with each other. So it could just be a display error, but even if that's the case and you have Binance Bitcoin, you still have only one custodian here, and that is Binance. So if something happens to Binance, what if they no longer honor the redemptions? And we don't know if they have used this Bitcoin for, let's say, off-chain transfers. And I think Binance, many people have also said the same thing. They are probably fine. They have so much money that they will be fine. But then again, if the ultimate company goes insolvent, which is Tether, if they go insolvent, I think that will have very big implications. So even in that scenario, maybe Binance will have some issues as well. So again, now that I'm stretching it a little bit further than I should, but anyway, all these companies, one goes down, Celsius goes down, then 3 Arrows Capital goes down. Another one, I already saw a few other companies that they put withdrawal limits on their assets. So if you just want to protect your capital, you could do what I've done, which is take your money all the way out of all these exchanges. You take money out of these wrapped protocols, because as you can see, then you are reliant on these multiple different custodians and merchants and all these shenanigans. So if this insolvency situation keeps escalating, you at least have your assets on a chain where you can redeem it directly with whoever is the custodian for USDC. It's Circle. And I believe they accept the redemptions on every chain. But for if you have BUSD, for example, which is the Binance USD, and you have it on the Binance Smart Chain, the Paxos who issues that, they actually do not accept the redemptions on the Binance Smart Chain. So you have to redeem it on the Ethereum chain. So it's a little bit confusing for BUSD how you can redeem it. But if you have it on the Ethereum chain, then it's fine. But BUSD, it's 1-to-1, and I believe it is USDC, I believe that also, but this BTCB, this is not exactly, I have issues with BTCB a little bit. Of course, if you want to be the most safe, then you will take it to fiat. But if you take it to fiat, then you are exposed to banking risk. Maybe your bank goes down. So there's a lot of risk going on, and you cannot possibly hedge against every risk out there. But if you believe in Bitcoin, take it out of the wrapped Bitcoin ecosystem, put it in your Bitcoin wallet that you are self-hosted, you own your own keys. That's basically the number one thing here. And I don't know if this escalates, maybe it doesn't escalate, maybe we're all safe, but it's just something that I wanted to point out, that Alameda Research, who front run the ETH insolvency situation, now has taken all of their wrapped Bitcoin out back into the Bitcoin chain. So just something that I wanted to point out. Maybe there's nothing here, maybe there is. If you have an idea why did Alameda Research do this, let me know in the comments. If you have some ideas about this, if I'm exaggerating, I tried not to exaggerate, I just showed the facts, what has happened, given a little bit of my insight and worries about it. And again, do not take this so seriously. Eventually, Bitcoin and crypto will recover, but if there are bad actors, this is the time when the bad actors are flushed out. And for me, I would like to not experience a similar situation with Celsius, that my assets got stuck there, and currently we don't know if we can even get it back, because as you can see, the company that got hired, they are experts in bankruptcies, and we haven't heard anything from Celsius basically for a week now, anything relevant at least. Maybe we get to hear something today. So we'll see how things escalate, how things solve. But again, yeah, well, I'm just trying to make this softer so people don't panic. And do not panic. Just if you want to protect yourself, get out of wrapped Bitcoin. Maybe there's nothing here. Maybe there is. This is old information. I don't know. If you, by the way, have a resolution why what I'm showing here has no relevance to anything at all, put it in the comments. I will pin that so others can see. So take a look at the pinned comment. If something has changed, I will put that in the pinned comment as well. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Consider subscribing, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.